What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Raised.
The Riverdale showrunners wanted to make sure they get all of the best actors for the job. Because of this, they had to undergo a long and strenuous process, and the guys they initially had cast to play the roles of our Riverdale heroes looked much different than the ones we have now. So, here are the 10 actors who were almost cast in Riverdale. Let's dive right into it, shall we? Number 10. Kiernan Shipka almost became Betty. Before playing the role of Sabrina Carpenter in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, Kiernan auditioned for the role of Betty Cooper on Riverdale. What's interesting about her story is how Riverdale developed Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa found out about her. He was stunned by this girl's acting talents in the legendary series Mad Men, so he had her in mind for his upcoming project, Riverdale. He initially thought that she would be a great addition to the show, playing the role of Betty Cooper, but they decided to go with Lili instead. Since the first project didn't really work out, Roberto created a special show and he gave Shipka the leading role. He went so fast as to smash that like button if you haven't done so already. What he actually wanted to do was merge the two shows by introducing Sabrina as the main villain in the second season of Riverdale. But since The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was a show on Netflix and Riverdale ran on the CW network, a future merger would only make things harder.
Are you threatening me?
This?
No.
Number 9. Travis Mills almost became Jughead. Travis Mills, the ex-boyfriend of Madelaine Petsch, had actually auditioned for the role of Jughead Jones during the casting process. In fact, this is how Mills and Petsch actually met and dated since then. But now, he refuses to watch the show, and the reason might surprise you. You know, he and Madelaine got together when he messaged her after seeing that she landed the role of Cheryl Blossom on Riverdale, the very show he auditioned for. He watched all of the episodes of Season 1 and only some of the Season 2 episodes. You see, while Season 1 aired, he and Madelaine had just started dating, and during Season 2, they were already an established couple. The reason he hadn't watched the show was because he would only feel lonely, because he would be only seeing her on the TV screen instead of in real life. So the reason he hasn't been watching the show isn't because he holds a grudge, but instead because he misses his bae. It's sad that these two broke up, but they were so cute together.
Hey there, Juliet. Nurse off duty?
Number 8. Cole Sprouse almost played Archie. Cole Sprouse was very close to giving up acting altogether, but he says Riverdale returned his appreciation for the craft. Even though Sprouse was quote-unquote begged by my agent to go and read for the pilot season, he was hesitant. He wanted to leave his acting days behind, but he actually went in and Roberto wanted him to portray Archie, but something happened during the audition. Cole didn't feel close to the role of Archie, and he thought Jughead, the town's outsider, would be a role he felt more confident with. During the reading for Jughead, he says that he tried to read the part like Rod Serling from The Twilight Zone. When Roberto heard him embody this role, he knew he had found Riverdale's Jughead. Now, we couldn't imagine anyone else in the role, and Cole has done a fantastic job of portraying this role. His character just adds to the strangeness and darkness on the show.
Okay, you're right. Honestly, I can't stop thinking about you, Betty. I've tried, but it's impossible.
Number 7. KJ Apa almost didn't become Archie Andrews. We couldn't believe it either, but it turns out it was actually true. The directors didn't think that KJ Apa would be a good enough actor to portray the role of Archie. Why? Well, because KJ had just flew in from New Zealand. It was a 12-hour flight and the actor was completely beat. Aside from being tired, he didn't prepare really well for his upcoming audition, so the directors were on the fence about him. Not to mention this was KJ's first audition ever, so you can imagine how nervous he must have felt during the whole thing. Luckily, none of the other redheads that came before him didn't catch the eye of the showrunners. So after a little hesitation and a tiring 6-month casting process, they finally decided to go with KJ Apa for the role of Archie. Had they not found an actor 3 days before the casting process was over, they would have been forced to cancel the show. You can clearly see that going with Apa in the very last moment, in a way, saved the show. Number 6. Asha Bromfield almost became Josie McCoy. Asha Bromfield had been looking for a big acting break in Toronto for years, but since she wasn't searching, wasn't paying the bills, she got a job as a waitress in the town and put her career on pause for a while. This is when she received a phone call from one of her friends who told her to come down to Vancouver and see if she can make her dreams come true. You see, he had always believed Asha would become a big star. She got on the first flight to Vancouver and settled in for 10 weeks. It was some sort of a trial period. Her jar of tips allowed her to have $30 a week for groceries and another $20 for transportation, and she spent the next 10 weeks auditioning for parts, one of which was Josie McCoy on a new show called Riverdale, but she hadn't heard from them since. Just as she was packing her bags and ready to leave, the phone rang. It was Riverdale, and they told her they rejected her for the role of Josie, but she did get to play Melody Valentine, a band member on Josie and the Pussycats.
The other day, when you asked how we got together, we were lonely. It's not exactly a strong bedrock.
Number 5. Chance Perdomo almost became Jughead Jones. As we said earlier, Jughead is not your typical teenager. He's eccentric, he's strange, and he's unique. This strangeness and originality inspired actor Chance Perdomo to actually audition for the role of Jughead in Riverdale. He recorded the narration of the opening scene in Riverdale and sent it in. Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa was in love. He thought Chance would definitely play Jughead in his upcoming show, but then Cole Sprouse came along and took the role from under his feet. Since this was a close call, the creator always had Perdomo in mind, even though he didn't get the role of Jughead. Just a short while later, Chance got offered to play the role of Ambrose Spellman on The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. You see, the creator of Riverdale was so astonished by Chance's audition that he felt bad about letting him go from Riverdale. In fact, Roberto actually wrote the role of Ambrose Spellman with one person in mind, Chance Perdomo.
Take off that jacket, right, boy?
Oh, Reggie. I don't think you know what this jacket means.
Number 4. Madelaine Petsch almost became Betty Cooper. You heard that right, people. Madelaine first came in to audition for the role of Betty Cooper, but the casting directors had something else in mind. You see, after being rejected for her role in Legends of Tomorrow, she came to audition for Betty Cooper on Riverdale. But they rejected her once again. But this time, they saw her potential as well as her talent, and they offered her a different role. The redheaded mean girl Cheryl Blossom was perfect for Madelaine. Even though the actress herself had been the one who was bullied in school, she says the tables have turned for this show.
So stop messing with me, stop messing with my family, and stop messing with my friends.
Number 3. Casey Cott almost became either Archie or Jughead. Casey Cott revealed that he initially auditioned for the roles of both Archie Andrews and Jughead Jones on Riverdale, but he didn't get either of them. But he had talent, and the casting directors wanted to keep him on the show, so they offered Casey a much smaller role as Kevin Keller. Even though the main action revolves around the 4 of our main characters, Kevin has had the opportunity to shine in various episodes throughout the 4 seasons of Riverdale. Casey even said that he's glad Riverdale doesn't leave out their secondary characters like some other shows. Number 2. Catherine Langford almost became Betty Cooper. Can you imagine the star of 13 Reasons Why playing the role of Betty Cooper on Riverdale? We can't either, but that was Catherine's initial plan. Camila Mendes opened up about the first time she met Catherine during the auditions for the show, and she notes remembering Catherine was such a genuine person with a lot of depth and a ton of talent. Even though she didn't land the role of Betty Cooper on Riverdale, she went on to star as the iconic Hannah Baker in 13 Reasons Why, so you see, everything worked out for the best. Number 1. Charlie Depew almost became Archie Andrews. Since the directors didn't see KJ until the last few days of casting, they have decided to go with Charlie Depew if no one better showed up. But 3 days before the end, KJ Apa walked into the room, and now the showrunners were faced with one of the toughest decisions they had yet to make. You see, KJ wasn't redheaded, and he wasn't American, but he was good. And even though Charlie was born and raised in the USA, Appa still smoked him when it comes to Archiekins. But don't feel too bad about Charlie though. After losing the lead on Riverdale, he did get cast in Famous in Love, where he stars alongside Bella Thorne. And on that note, we end this video. But hey, do you think Riverdale would have been better off with some of these other guys? Or are you loyal to the original cast like us? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.